Hey, welcome back to another video. What you're about to watch is a couple months of work on a project that I've been continuously trying to get off the ground for a while now. And for whatever reason, I'm always running into snags and stuff, but I figured right now I put this up on YouTube to gain some interest in people who are fans of Alan Wake and the lore behind Alan Wake. And what this is the first couple chapters of a audiobook series that I'm trying to get started, and that is an audiobook version of the Alan Wake files. The book that was included with the collector's edition of Alan Wake on the Xbox 360, and was included digitally with the Steam release of Alan Wake as well. It's also found on the Humble Bundle version of the game as well, but that is besides the point. Basically, I've been trying to get this thing done, but with no funds to get this done, it's hard to get people to voice act for free. I didn't want to go through the AI route where you just use copy someone's voice and use that. That'd be completely unethical, and I would not want that for my work at all. Um, while there are probably people out there willing to work for free, it's kind of difficult to find those people. So here's what I have so far on in the Alan Wake files. Every single voice in this short snippet from the first two chapters is myself voice acting it. I have some small acting experience doing minor stuff in high school, but that is pretty much the extent of my acting abilities. So I'd appreciate comments down below how I could improve, and if you have any advice or if you have any people who are willing to help out with this project, because there's a lot of characters and voice acting I believe that needs to get completely done for this project to actually come to fruition and get finished. Enjoy this project, and I hope to see comments from you all down below. Thank you so much for taking the time. Here is the preface and chapter 1 of the Alan Wake files. The book you hold in your hands represents the end of one life and the beginning of another. My name is Clay Stewart, and began on this path when a series of strange dreams turned out to be visions of a real man, a town in trouble, and a powerful destructive force beyond my imagining. 2 years ago, if someone had asked me who Alan Wake was or where the town of Bright Falls was located, I would have been stumped on both counts. My life had, up to that point, been untouched by either of these particulars, and perhaps for the better. But I cannot change the past. I can only try to make sense of it, and with the publication of this book, perhaps gain some measure of forgiveness from those I hurt along the way. I'll explain how I became involved in these events, but if there's one thing I need you to understand, it's that the strange disturbances that shook Bright Falls in the weeks preceding the Deer Fest of last year represent one of the greatest mysteries of our time. This book began as a personal attempt to understand and solve those mysteries. Now, I fear that may be impossible. Hope merely to exorcise them, and by doing so, to relinquish their claims upon me. I lived a quiet life in Madison, Wisconsin, until the dreams started. Recurring dreams, all pointing me to a particular place. My first dream was nothing at all. I'm alone in a cabin in the night. Someone knocks, and I step out onto the porch. There's no one there, but the lantern is broken in what I take to be a very meaningful way. That's how it strikes me. The second dream is the same as the first, except that after I find the broken lamp, I hear something in the forest, and I think I see movement. I follow it to the forest's edge, but then it stops. The third dream follows the course of dreams 1 and 2, except the sounds get louder and louder. Trees fall, and it's as though I'm caught in a storm. I run away and down the road till I get to the ocean, and there's a lighthouse, and it's obvious to my dream logic that I'll be safe there. A man holds the lighthouse door open and frantically waves me toward him. I run and run, chased by this thing, this dark omnipresence. In the last possible moment, I'm consumed. I cease to exist. Soon I'm having these dreams every night. It's the same each time. I'm chased by this dark monster or men consumed by shadows. And again, I see this man in his early 30s with a strong but friendly face. Sometimes I save his life, other times he saves mine, but we always die in the end. I start staying up later and later, trying to avoid sleep. My wife and my little boy are safe in their beds, and I'm up at 3 a.m. watching the tube, surfing through a wasteland of softcore soap and slaughter, trying to stay awake. But you can't stay awake forever. Late one night, I'm watching reruns of that old show, Night Springs, but I keep nodding off. In the twilight between dreaming and waking, I hear the voice of the man from my dreams. He's talking to me saying, I'm not interested in literary cliques or in questions of genre versus literary fiction. I want a good story, well told, and I'll take where I can get it. My eyes flitter open, and there he is, the nameless man from my dreams. He's on my freaking television set, being interviewed at a round wooden table with two other men. I almost leap from the couch, and I am more awake than I have ever been in my life. I watch and watch till another question is directed at this man, and the caption appears. Alan Wake, author of The Sudden Stop. It's entirely possible, even likely, that considering Wake's fame, I had seen his picture before and performed some unconscious copy-paste work, but I knew things about him from my visions, things that I hadn't read. In the days following my discovery, I obsessively researched his writings, read everything I can get my hands on, and it only confirmed that he was the same man with whom I'd been trapped in my nightly hellscape. His detective, Alex Casey, resembled him, and they shared the same grim humor, even when death felt certain. I was convinced that my dreams represented a shared experience with Alan Wake. More than that, they were a warning. I wrote a long and impassioned letter to Mr. Wake's publishers, but only received a postcard noting my letter's receipt and encouraging me to purchase Wake's book. Every time I re-entered the dream world, I became an obsessive observer of this strange dimension, which seemed to be an underwater world populated by unknowable dark forces whose only desire was to destroy me. I was a diligent transcriber of these awful visions, and every time I woke, I updated the dream journal I had started. My wife Anna and I had hardly spoken anymore, and I felt myself becoming increasingly disengaged from my former life. The journal was one thing that helped me make sense of what I was experiencing. The dreams continued, becoming more and more horrific over the following months. Only one thing was clear. Alan Wake was somehow at the center of what I was experiencing. In fact, he was the cause of everything I was experiencing. Each night I was killed or I witnessed others killed. Finally, I saw a small town destroyed and a whole world consumed by darkness, and it was all his fault. I didn't blame him for it, but I had to make contact with him to tell him what I had seen, to warn him. While researching lighthouses at the university library, I had happened upon an image of the lighthouse from my dreams. This hit me like a thunderclap. It was located outside a town called Bright Falls. An internet image search revealed a scrapbook of my visions. Here it was, this small, picturesque town in Washington state. Fishing, logging, bad weather. The buildings, streets, and bridges were those from my nightmares. I'd seen it all before. I couldn't deny it anymore. And my decision was made for me. I bought a $165 ticket on a Greyhound bus and arrived in Bright Falls 2 days later. I'll admit that things didn't feel right from the beginning. I've lived in enough Midwestern shitbergs to know that economic blight looks like up close. and this wasn't it. Something had happened here. There were bolt holes in buildings and a general air of civil disturbance. There was talk of tornadoes and a troubling number of women dressed in mourning clothes. There were 3 funerals the first day, all held for local fathers and husbands and wives, all held in absentia. When I asked people what had happened here, some mentioned freak storms and an annual town party that was preceded by horrible accidents. Most would not reply at all. They shook their heads and walked away, that stricken look of survivor guilt crimping their faces. They avoided my questions as though I was probing into some town shame, some big secret no one dared reveal. I know how strange that sounds, but it felt as though the whole town was being held hostage, like they'd been told they were being watched, and if they spoke to anyone, there would be more deaths and more after that. I checked into room number 2 at the Majestic Motel. It smelled of stale alcohol and cigarettes, with a fair dose of what I now recognized as fear sweat. I had no idea how long I would spend here, but I unpacked my bags, all except for my dream journal. I took my pocket knife from my backpack and drew out the Phillips head, climbed up to the air vent and unscrewed the panel, thinking myself very clever, even though I'd seen this trick in a couple movies. Well, I guess someone else too had to, because it was there that I had found the green cardboard box. I pulled it out and opened it up on the bed, a cache of documents with 3 thick manila folders thick. When I saw the names of its author, I understood that this was the end of another's journey. Special Agent Robert Nightingale of the FBI. My months of pain, my disintegrating marriage, my confusion, all washing through me. This is what the dreams had pointed me to. This room in Bright Falls, Washington. There are some who will question the authenticity of my find and consider it an elaborate hoax or the product of a broken mind. But I am not deterred. The longer I spent with Nightingale's dossier, the more I became convinced that I had found a fellow traveler. He may have been a drunk, insane with grief, or a kind of madness that there has no name. But he was on to something. As my own subsequent investigation had proven, Alan Wake had just been to Bright Falls. His wife Alice had disappeared. A series of chaotic and unexplained events leading to missing and dead persons. The destruction of buildings, reports of shadow men and monsters followed soon after. I had arrived at the edge of a great and foreboding secret. I set out from the Majestic the next day to search out the truth for myself. Clay Stewart. Chapter 1. Nightingale's Field Notes. The handwritten notes found among Agent Nightingale's effects form perhaps the most telling document in the collection about his internal struggle as he pursued Alan Wake. The mixture of driving forces created a maelstrom of turbulence inside the man, not unlike Wake, trying to hold himself together while pursuing a quixotic goal. The notes are presented here in facsimile form to give readers the same sense of physical texture I found when I discovered them. Here, Nightingale inadvertently exposes his tortured ambivalence alongside his dogged determination. These ghosts from his past battle with the demons he meets in his present. As for his future, there seems to be nothing brighter than doubt. It is unclear whether this cache represents the entirety of the notes he took, or simply a portion. They do, however, suggest that Nightingale was at the breaking point, both physically and mentally. Whether the abrupt end of his field notes was the result of sheer exhaustion on the agent's part, or another, more nefarious explanation, I am unable to determine. Day 1. Night. Exhausted. Missed the turnoff. Took 2 hours longer than planned. Trees are pretty, but hell, they all look alike. This place really is in the middle of nowhere, and not the exact middle. That'd be too easy. Sun's already down. Motel stinks, and not even in a good Chicago way. Majestic my ass. Got to check in with the local Johnny Law in the morning. Haven't really grilled the local yokels yet. Don't think the moron at the front desk counts. Wish I had the Bureau's backing. Some official resources would help, but then there'd be a lot of explaining to do. And I've got no better way to burn my free time. Still have a few favors I can call in if I need some heavy lifting. Better this way. Day 2. Johnny Law turns out to be Janie Law. Sheriff Breaker comes from a cop family. Knows diddly squat. Usual hostility to feds. Don't know whether to use honey or salt on this one. Don't know if I have enough honey in me. She did make the phone call I needed. Let's consider her pliable. Diner's a great place to get all friendly with the townies. They had a cardboard cutout of Wake propped up near the door. One of the waitresses is supposed to be a big fan. When I talked to Sheriff Breaker later, she revealed a different point of view than the one Agent Nightingale expresses here. She believed their relationship was cordial and cooperative. The hostility he speaks of here may well reveal more about the agent's predisposition than any actual exchange between the two law enforcement officers. Breaker would not comment on the nature of the call she was asked to make, and when I asked her about Agent Nightingale's current whereabouts, she turned around and wished me luck. Our interview at an end. Day 2. Afternoon. How to get our boy before he hurts anyone. That's the million-dollar question. Do these people know what they're dealing with here? Good God. It's like watching toddlers play with nitro. Interviewed locals at trailer park. Suspect there's something behind all these dopey country facades. Everybody knows more than they're telling. Or maybe they just don't, which is even scarier. Wake did a number on their waitress. Sweet kid, but can't tell night from day. When Nightingale refers to our boy, it can only be assumed he means Alan Wake. What is not clear is why Nightingale is so afraid of what Wake might do. Although Wake had a history of erratic behavior, he is not associated with anything that would give an experienced FBI agent concern. Nightingale seems equally unnerved and suspicious of the locals, and more than that, he evidences a genuine fear of an undetermined someone or something. Day 3. Noises last night. Some damn animals. Went out again. Got lost again. Goddamn trees. Can't believe how slippery some guys are. Talked to the front desk moron this morning. Didn't know zip about Wake. Got real quiet when I mentioned him, in fact. Could be he just ran out of thoughts. I'm getting nothing out of these people. Nightingale's commentary on his encounter with the motel staff revealed both his growing frustration with the pace of his investigation and his distrust of the locals. His reports of strange noises in the night, his confession to getting lost again only served to highlight his vulnerability as he tries to navigate the unfamiliar terrain. Bright Falls represents a dangerous landscape to Nightingale, and perhaps to any others who cross its boundary. Day 3. Night. Scanner picked up confused distress call response. Domestic violence or burglary or vandalism or kidnapping. Deputy Dog can't decide. Little Janie Law's got her hands full. Things here are just strange enough that I'm sure I'm on the right track. Found Wake's agent, followed him a bit. Tubby tried to lose me. Maybe Wake's so slippery because his buddy's so slimy. It is difficult to break through Nightingale's tough law enforcement facade at times, even when he's writing his inner thoughts, but reading between the lines made me illuminative. While Nightingale's entry regarding the scanner audio may be nothing more than a small-town deputy handling routine crime calls, why would he bother noting them? Given his state of mind in the earlier entries, it seems more likely Nightingale found the garbled distress calls suggestive of paranormal activity. Day 3. Practically 4. Can't go on like this. Daylight is harsh when there's no sleep. Saw Lady Diogenes with her lamp in broad daylight. I forgot her name. Got it written somewhere. How to get Wake. Is someone hiding him? Extremism in the cause of sanity is no vice. whatever it takes. Local head shrinker's name keeps coming up, Hartman. Nightingale's reference to Lady Diogenes refers to the Greek philosopher who walked around ancient Athens with a lamp during the day for the stated purpose of looking for an honest man. Clearly, he was referring to Cynthia Weaver, a well-known town eccentric who may have been more succinct about the dangers of darkness than anyone could have predicted. Also of note is the mention of Dr. Emil Hartman, who has been unresponsive to my interview requests. Later notes clearly show Nightingale to be suspicious of Hartman's practice at the Cauldron Lake Lodge. Day 4. Didn't sleep a wink. Scanner just got weirder through the night. Wake is one elusive bugger. Is he the only one? Is it him holding up the whole house of cards? What'll happen when I pull? Wish I could be sure. But not to decide is to decide. Have to do what's necessary when the time comes. Feels like I'm alone in the wilderness here. Nightingale's impatience toward the end of his notes is palpable. This is the first instance where he questions Wake's status as a solitary force. Manifold question remains, such as why he believed Wake to be such a source of danger. Had Nightingale been drawn to Bright Falls as I was by a series of dreams and nightmares? I'm compelled to think he was acting on harder evidence than was available to me. Could this be an ongoing investigation referred to in my FOIA request? Day 4, afternoon. A partner isn't like a coworker or a friend or even a brother. He's your guardian, your keeper, your other wife. He keeps you on the dead straight, calls you on everything the others let slide, and he has your back when the shooting starts. That's where I failed Finn. I owe it to him to keep going, even when everything's gone dark. When the craziness back east started, he couldn't explain it either. That's when he needed me most. But I blew it. I have to make it right. This is a rarity. One of the few instances where Nightingale reveals his heart, and consequently, some objective information about his motivations. That he lost a partner in the line of duty has been confirmed by my investigation, but the circumstances around that loss remain murky indeed. Clearly, he holds himself responsible in some fundamental way. Had Nightingale witnessed similar events before? How did these experiences transform him? Again, all we have is supposition and conjecture. Day 4, night. Hartman seems to be the big man on campus, very protective of his patients. Skim through his self-help book. What a load. He's got a sweet little racket going on at the lodge. Gut tells me he's involved in all this somehow. Going for a drive. Can't think in here. Am I going down like Finn? Not if I shoot first. Night. Much later. Sounds are getting weirder all the time. Something happening just out of town. Out by some farm. Flashes of light, too. Could be kids with firecrackers getting edgy and starting a barn fire. Probably ought to get some batteries for the stupid flashlight if there's time. Will I have it in me to do what's necessary when the time comes?